Hi, I'm Sharon Agorder, Assistant Superintendent for Business. In today's presentation, we would like to dispel any myths regarding the term fund balance, explain what it is and what it isn't, and then review the use of the federal stimulus and education jobs funds. Fund balance is an accounting term. It represents the net current assets of a fund at the end of a fiscal period. For school districts in Wisconsin, the fiscal year begins on July 1st and ends on June 30th. Fund balance takes into consideration cash, receivables, and inventory, plus any outstanding bills, payroll payables, or other liabilities that exist. It is important not to confuse fund balance with cash balance. There are three myths concerning fund balance. The first one, the fund balance is the same as a savings account. No, this isn't true, because the fund balance includes payables such as payrolls and receivables such as taxes. The second myth, the general fund balance is the difference between revenues and expenditures for a year. No, the general fund balance is cumulative. It includes balances or deficits from prior years. And the third myth, the total fund balance is a good measure of a school district's fiscal health. Well, this is not necessarily true, because when a large part of the fund balance is taxes receivable, that money isn't received until August. Most school districts have an adequate fund balance, yet very little cash. Wisconsin school districts have significant levels of property taxes on their books as of June 30th as part of their fund balance. The taxes receivable won't be converted to cash until the final installments of property taxes are turned over to the districts by their respective counties in August. For example, on June 30th, the Wausau School District taxes receivable were $12.2 million. However, the district did not receive these funds from Marathon County until August 20th, 2 months after the end of the fiscal year. The Wausau School District fund balance also consists of reserves for specified expenditures. For example, the Wausau School District had approximately $2.7 million in reserves in its self-funded plans for future health claims. These amounts came from the district as the district's contributions to the health premium, as well as money deducted from employees for their share of the premium. So why do districts maintain fund balances? There are several reasons. One of the biggest reasons is for cash flow management. Wisconsin school districts do not receive state aid equally over the 12 months. 15% payment is received in September, 25% in December and March, and the remaining 35% in June, the end of the fiscal year. Also, property taxes first come in January, approximately 22%, February 28%, April 1.5%, May 13.5%, and finally 34.5% in August, 2 months after the end of the fiscal year. State aids and property taxes comprise 91% of our district revenues. However, as you can see, they do not come in equal installments during the year. To illustrate that, we now have several graphs where we'll show the district's budget and cash flow. The first graph represents the actual district revenue and expenditures on a month-to-month basis. The green bars represent the revenues on a monthly basis. And note the large green bar in August. That represents when we finally receive the taxes from the county. Looking at September, we receive a 15% aid payment. December, there's a 25% state aid payment. In January and February, we begin collecting from property taxes. In March, a 25% state aid payment is received. And the large green bar in June is the largest state aid payment that we receive of 35%. Next to the green bars, we have the red bars, and these are the expenditures. They occur pretty much evenly throughout the 12 months, except when we have 3 payrolls in a month. So if taking a look at December, that was larger than the average of the months, and that's because we had 3 payrolls that month. June is always larger because we are paying out final bills to clear out the fiscal year, And we also have the lump sum teacher payrolls that are recorded in June. Now in the same graph, below the middle line there where it's labeled $dash, we have the purple bars. Purple bars are not on a month-to-month basis. They're accumulating. And they represent the difference between revenues and expenditures. So taking a look at the November purple bar, which is a largest deficit, that represents an accumulated, from July 1st through November, the accumulation of the revenues and expenditures. And that's approximately $16 million. This means that $16 million more in expenditures were incurred than the revenues received. If you'll note, for the month of June, there is no purple bar, and so by the end of the fiscal year, we have assumed that revenues and expenditures would be equalized at that time. Now, we'll take a look at a second graph. This is going to demonstrate actual cash balances for the district. The top of the graph, or the blue line, represents the actual cash balance at the end of the month. We have included the prior June so we can start with the ending cash balance of $6.1 million on July 1st. The actual low point for cash occurs late in November, and this is approximately $3 million. It's even a little lower, $2 million during the first week in December. However, because this graph only shows the balances at the end of the month, just wanted you to know it goes just a little bit lower than the end of November. And you'll note that the highest cash balance is over $20 million at the end of March. The bottom part of the graph, the pink line, shows what happens when we subtract the fund balance. We would have a cash deficit every month except for March. Again, the greatest deficit on a monthly basis is at the end of November, and on a daily basis, it occurs the first week in December. From this chart, we can see that of the $18.3 million of the district's fund balance, $16.1 million represents the cash portion. In addition to cash flow management, the fund balance is important for other reasons. It's used to demonstrate fiscal stability for the district, which is important when the district requests a bond rating from Moody's for its long-term bonds. And these are the bonds we take out when we go to referendum to pay for our buildings. The higher the bond rating, the lower the interest rates, which reduces the debt service tax levy. Another reason is to avoid spending operational funds for interest on short-term loans. The district was able to reduce next year's budget by $300,000 by no longer having to budget for this expense. Another reason is to front cash for grants such as Title I and federal stimulus funds, where the district must pay for the expense and then claim the money from the government. Okay, another reason to maintain a fund balance is to provide for unanticipated expenses or emergencies such as a boiler or furnace breakdown. It also could provide for unanticipated revenue shortfalls. To summarize, the current cash balance allows the district to pay its bills in a timely manner while not incurring any additional expense to do so. Next, we will review the use of federal stimulus and education jobs money. Our district received $3,209,000 for Title I, Title IID, and the special education flow-through and preschool programs. The Title I funds were used primarily for professional growth and development activities, and the special education funds were also used for professional growth and development, as well as remodeling projects for handicapped accessibility. Special education funds have been used to acquire assistive technologies and adaptive Phy-Ed equipment. The funds will continue to fund 7 teaching positions through September this year. The next slide lists the specific expenditures that were incurred for both funding grants. In looking at the education jobs money, the school district received $1.7 million. These funds were used to pay for the salaries and benefits for 68 school district teachers from September through December last year. Because these funds were used, it will release $1.7 million from the current year budget. This will provide some flexibility for the school board in planning future budgets. We hope this presentation helped clarify information about the district's fund balance, stimulus funding, and the Federal Jobs Fund. Please look for our last installment in the Wausau School District budget video series addressing our challenge, coming to you very soon.